Welcome to the first edition of Militia Network News Suckus.
I'm your host, Billy Bob.
And I'm Pimp Master Cut Yo Motherfucking Throat.
In today's news, an informant with the Department of Homeland Security has tipped off that the government is preparing for a massive civil war here in the good old US of A.
After buying millions of untold hordes of ammo and food, the militarization of local police, and the transfer of enormous amounts of armored vehicles with urban camo, only some honky cracker with his head up his ass could believe it there was.
In a riveting interview on Tron News Radio Wednesday, private investigator Doug Hagman said high-level, reliable sources told him the U.S. Department of Homeland Security is preparing for a massive civil war in America to be brought on by an economic collapse in October of this year.
And thought's not all suckus. Yeah.
Wait, what in the Sam Hill was that?
What?
That thing you just did.
What ting?
That retarded thing you just did. Kinda like this.
Oh, that's my superhero pose.
Please don't do that again. I think you just killed a few brain cells.
Let's get back to the news before I cut some pasty white pansies' balls off.
Hagman went on to say, quote, "We have problems. The federal government is preparing for civil uprising." He added, "So every time you hear about troop movements, every time you hear about movements of military equipment, the militarization of the police, the buying of the ammunition, all of this is, they're preparing for a massive uprising."
Hagman goes on to say that his sources tell him the concerns of the D.H.S. stem from a collapse of the U.S. dollar and the hyperinflation, a collapse in the value of the world's primary reserve currency, implies to a nation of 311 million Americans, who, for the significant portion of the population, is heavily armed, as they fucking should be. Uprisings in Greece is, indeed, a problem, but an uprising of armed Americans becomes a matter of serious national security, a point addressed in a recent report by the Pentagon and highlighted as a vulnerability and threat to the U.S. during war game exercises at the Department of Defense last year, according to one of the D.H.S. war game participants, Jim Rickards, author of Currency Wars, The Making of the Next Global Crisis.
Through his sources, Hagman confirmed Rickards' ongoing thesis of a fear of a U.S. dollar collapse at the hands of the Chinese U.S. Treasury bondholders of approximately $1 trillion and, possibly, the Russians threatening to launch a gold-backed ruble as an attractive alternative to the U.S. dollar in retaliation for aggressive U.S. foreign policy initiatives against China's and Russia's strategic allies Iran and Syria. The one source that we have known since 1979, Hagman continued. Quote, "He started out as a patrol officer and currently he is now working for a federal agency under the umbrella of the Department of Homeland Security. He's in a position to know what policies are being initiated, what policies are being planned at this point, and he's telling us right now, look, what you were seeing is just the tip of the iceberg. We are preparing, we, meaning the government, we are preparing for a massive civil war in this country."
There's no hyperbole here, he added, echoing Trends Research Institute's founder Jared Celenti's forecast of last year. Celenti expects a collapse of the U.S. dollar and riots in America sometime this year. Since Celenti's quote civil war prediction of last year, executive orders and national defense resources preparedness were signed into law by President Obama, which are both politically damaging actions taken by a sitting president. And most recently, requests made by the D.H.S. for the procurement of 450 million rounds of hollow-point ammunition only fuels speculation of an upcoming tragic event expected on American soil. These major events, as shocking to the American people as they are, have taken place during an election year.
And don't let the fact that the hollow-point ammunition is pistol caliber fool you. The most deadly weapon in city limits, also known as urban warfare, is the submachine gun. And submachine guns do not use rifle ammunition. They use pistol ammunition. See a connection here, fellas?
Escalating preparatory activities by the executive branch and D.H.S. throughout the last decade from the Patriot Act to countless executive orders drafted to suspend and destroy American civil liberties, quote, are just the beginning of the nightmare to come, Hagman said.
He added, "It's going to get so much worse toward the election, and I'm not even sure we're going to have an election in this country. It's going to be that bad, and this, as well, is coming from my sources." But one source in particular said, "Look, you don't understand how bad it is. This stuff is real. These people, the Department of Homeland Security, they're ready to fight the American people.
But the D.H.S. are expecting, and again, this is according to my sources, what they're expecting is the unsustainability of the American dollar, Hagman said. And we know for a fact that we can no longer service our debt. There's going to be a period of hyperinflation. The dollar will be worthless. The economic collapse will be so severe, people won't be ready for this.
For the full audio copy of the interview in question, please click the link in the description.
Billy Bob, I think we are about to start our catchphrase.
I do believe you were right, Pimp Daddy. Go ahead.
We get the shit that even Alex Jones' crazy crackle ass can't find. So you better motherfucking and subscribe to this bitch, or we'll find you and cut off yo balls. Num 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 num.
Fucking gross.